Hi, I'm Marianne. So a while back, I did a video that was an introduction to mudding and muds. Muds are text-based role-playing games that you play online with other people. And they're kind of like Dungeons and Dragons or Skyrim or other role-playing games, only everything is text. So there's like written descriptions of your surroundings and everything that happens, and you type in commands as far as how you interact with the world. And I realized that this is kind of a dying genre that not a lot of people know about. I try to explain to people the games that I play, and they're like, "You do what now?" So I thought that I would make this video as sort of an introduction to the game that I play, Gesh, or as I like to pronounce it, Geas. And yeah, I thought I would do this to show like how you get started, how to create a character in case anyone ever wants to give it a shot. So first of all, to connect to a mud, you need a mud client. I use Mush client. There's also Mudlet. Blowtorch is probably the most popular one I've heard of for mobile. But yeah, actually one of our players created a custom Mush client for Geas, which has some cool plugins. I probably use the mapper the most. I find that useful. So I included a link down below if you want to download it and install it, and I'll show you how that works. Or you can just Google Mush client to download the basic client, or you can, look for another mud client and try them out and see which one you like the best. Okay, so this is what it looks like when you first open it up. And first of all, I'm going to go change some settings because it's not what I'm used to. You can change settings under world properties. So the custom client is already set up to connect to Geas. So yeah, you look on here, you'll find the information. But if you are using a different client or just the regular mud client, then yes, you would enter this information. Geas.de is the mud address. And then the port number, if you want to use the plugins, you use port 3334, but the regular port is 3333. So either of those would work. And then, yeah, and then you'd be able to connect there. So first of all, I think I'm going to change a few things. Make sure it's all good. Okay, I think that's good. I'm gonna change this and then turn that off. And change this to white on black because that's what I'm used to. Keyboard preferences. Okay, yes. I think that's all good, hopefully. So yeah, and so if you just download the basic Mush Client package, you would go to New World, and that's where you would enter this information, and then you just step down and click OK. And you can also connect by hitting this button up here. So also, I'm going to go ahead and disable some of the plugins that come with the package that I don't use. For instance, these icons up here, they were made for Azrael Clerics, and I do not play an Azrael Cleric, so I'm going to disable some of those. If you go to plugins, these are all the plugins that come with the package. I would love to use this communication window, but to use it you have to mess with your color settings, and I didn't want to do all that, at least not yet. So I'm going to disable the ones that I don't need. So yeah, pretty much basically I use the mapper and the health bar mini window. Okay, I think that's all. Let me move this stuff around a bit. Yeah, so you can like play with this however you want to set it up how you want to. Okay, and so when you actually connect first, okay, let me disconnect and then try connecting again. So this is what you'll see when you first log into the game. This is information about the plugins. You can just kind of ignore all that about the color and stuff. So first of all, the thing it asks you is, what should your character's name be? And if you're like me, you have a very hard time picking a character name because it has to be just perfect. Or maybe you're not that crazy. um, if you need help coming up with a name, Geas is a medieval fantasy mud. So you want a name that fits in that kind of setting. Although they're not super strict, like we've had a character named Josh. So as long as it's not something super ridiculous, you'll probably be okay. So if you need help picking a name, there's lots of fantasy name generators out there. I think my favorite one is not exist anymore, but yeah, if you just Google fantasy name generator, you can find a bunch and yeah, be able to pick a name through there. So I've gone ahead and picked the medieval fantasy name Enwin, and it asks, do you want to create a new character? If there is already a character with this name, it'll ask for your password. So um, yeah, if there is, then just pick another name. So do I want to create a new character? I will say yes. And then enter my password. Okay, I will do that. And next it asks for your email address. So this is if you lose your password or if the admin need to get in contact with you or anything like that, then you can use that. So put in your email there. Okay, so first of all, it asks for your race. Now, Geas has pretty much your generic fantasy races. You can see human, dwarf, elf, halfling, and half-elf, but the one unique race to Geas is Tisharks, or however you pronounce that. They are kind of a big, strong, lizard-like race. And actually, yeah, if you can go to the different help files for the different races, and this will show you one, it's a little about their history. For instance, sharks were magically created to fight the insects, and so basically they're big, dumb warrior types, and there's still some prejudice against them, especially in Arborea, where they call them frogs. Well, so yeah, there are some limitations against sharks as far as the guilds that they can join. I think they can join the Crusaders, the Shaolin, Azrael Clerics, and the Order. And I think that's all. They can join the Scalds, but not the Alchemists or Scribes, because yes, they are very dumb. And yeah, there's lots of prejudice against them. So it's it's a unique race to play if that's the thing you want to play. And yet you can see what race you pick affects your stats and different things like that. So sharks are very strong, they have high constitution, they have very low intelligence and wisdom, and yeah, so these other traits that they have. And if you look at the help files for all of the races, you can find that different information. So I happen to like elves, so I'm gonna pick an elf. I'm gonna be a female. And then it asks for your height and your weight, so you can put in whatever you would like there. If you're right or left-handed. Okay, let's go right. Then it asks for your hair color. I think what race you are depends upon what kind of options you have. Like elves can have purple hair. And yeah, so you might have different options in here depending upon what race you pick. I will go ahead, say I have copper hair and blue eyes. Okay, so next it asks you to choose 2 attributes. These are what make up your short description, which is what you look like to people before you introduce yourself to them. So yeah, you can go into any of these categories. We can go into arms. And yeah, any of these adjectives are things you can use to describe your character. If you don't like any of those, you can check other ones. Go into eyes. So yeah, pick 2 things that you want to use to describe your character. I'll go ahead and do almond-eyed. And then we can do sweet-tempered. Oh, one other thing you will notice is, so my attributes are almond-eyed and sweet-tempered, but they'll swap if you they'll swap when you enter the game. So actually, when people look at me, they will see a sweet-tempered, almond-eyed female elf. So just something to keep in mind if you're concerned about that or anything. There's that weird quirk. So okay, now I have my attributes. That's what I'm gonna look like. So okay, it asks if you want to display ANSI colors. If you want colors, then yes, I will say yes. Next, it asks for if you want to use Deku commands. Now I come from a mud that was a Deku mud, so I'm used to Deku commands, so I use them. But you probably, if you're not used to it, you probably want to just use the regular normal commands. So you would say no here. I'll go ahead and do that. It might mess me up later, but that's okay. Okay, then that's if you use a screen reader. So we actually have a lot of blind players who use screen readers. If you choose this option, then it can eliminate some of the spam and just make it easier for them to read. I don't need it, so I will say no. Let's see. Okay. Now is when you ask your learning preferences for your stats. If you want, you can just use the default ones. Those are perfectly fine. Or you can customize them. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what it's like if you customize them. And yes, you can change them later in the game. Just go to the out of character area and you can change them there. And as you can see, so as an elf, I'm an agile. I have very high agility, dexterity, and intelligence and wisdoms. You can see these are the max values that I can use for these skills. So you can either go for your race's strengths or try and build up their weaknesses. As an elf, yeah, you're an agile person, so you want to be like a light fighter. You're fast, whereas other races might want more strength. Yeah, elves are not very strong, so like I want to put some in strength probably to make up for my weaknesses, but yeah, and it also depends if you want to be a fighter, if you want to be a mage or a cleric, which stats you want to put into. But again, if you just choose the default one, that's perfectly fine. And once you figure out more about it, you can change decisions there. So as an elf, I probably want to be, yeah, a light fighter. I will go, I do want some strength. Dexterity. Dexterity is useful for thieves, for, I think, playing instruments and crafting. Oh, and missile. It's important for that. But if I'm not really interested in those things, I don't have to put anything in it. So I'll go ahead and put 5, which is the minimum value that you can put in. So agility, I do want some agility because I want to play to my strength as an elf. And agility is just in general helpful as a fighter. So I'll put some in there. Also some in constitution because elves are naturally a bit weaker than other races. If I'm a fighter, I don't really need to put anything into intelligence and wisdom. You don't need to be smart, right? And then leftover, discipline helps. It helps in fighting, resisting fear, and resisting falling unconscious and things like that. So it's also useful as a fighter. So now it's asking if I want to enter the newbie tutorial, which I would recommend if you're not used to MUDs, or yeah, if you're new to this game in general. It'll help you learn the commands and things like that. So I would go ahead and go through that with you. Say yes. Okay, so here's what it looks like when you enter the newbie tutorial. So you can see this is the room you're in. There's a description here. And yeah, and you get these prompts that help you learn the commands that you can use. So let's see. Yeah, you just kind of follow along with them. Let's see. So yes, if you look around, you can see the room that you're in. You can also look at things. Yeah, look at tree. And yes, sometimes when you see things, you might see something that you can investigate further, like, there's a hole. Maybe I could try, you could look at the hole and you can try searching it and see if there's something, yeah. something you can find there, which sometimes you can. Sometimes there's hidden stuff in rooms. And I found a leather jacket. Okay. So yes. So first of all, to wear it, I would type wear jacket, or wear armor also works. And then it'll use armor stats, will show you how good it is. It's apparently very bad armor, but I'm just starting out, it's okay. So yeah, and so that's how you interact with clothes and armor. You can wear, remove it. I probably want to put it back on because it's something, at least. Okay. And yes, as far as weapons, I can see, oh, there's a sword here. Maybe I can get that. Okay. And then, yeah, to use a weapon, you do wield sword. And then, like armor stats, you can use weapon stats, which will show you how good the weapons are. And this will depend upon your appraised skill. If your appraised weapon skill is not great, it might not be entirely accurate. But yeah, it gives you a general idea of how strong your weapon is. Yes, if you type parry stats, it will show you how good it is at parrying different weapons. Yes, and also you probably don't want to go walking around with weapons in your hand because it will tire you out more quickly. So yes, I probably want to unwield it if I'm going to be walking around. Right, and so inventory, or just typing I, will show you what you're carrying. So okay, I have my jacket, I have some coins. Let's see. And yes, you can get hungry and thirsty in the game, and you'll probably want to find, yeah, a water source, which one thing like this, you can try, if there's something in the room, like a brook or a fountain, you can try drink water from brook. Things like that. And yes, so you can find food like fruit and berries and mushrooms in the forest, or you can buy stuff from inns or taverns, usually have something. So yeah, if I look at the apple tree, I can see that there's some apples hanging there. So I might want to try to go up, climb the tree, and pick an apple. And then I can eat the apple. Okay, so you can either climb down, or if you're feeling adventurous, you can try to jump down. But oh no, I crashed the ground. So you can get hurt that way. Yes, or you can just try climbing down, and it's a bit safer. But okay, I can stand back up. Okay, and yeah, so as you can see now, hey, my mapper is working and my health bars are working now. It just started those plugins. So yeah, I can see here that now I can see there's a direction going west. And to move someplace, that's how you move. You go in a direction. So I don't have to type at west. I can just type W, and like, yeah, if it's northwest, you can type NW, and that will just move you in that direction. Okay. And as you can see, okay, if you are a race that cannot see in the dark, so elves can see in the dark, dwarves can, and dark elves, but humans can't. So if you're a race that can't see in the dark, you'll need a light probably. Let me get all of this. Okay, and so I have a lamp now, but I'll first have to fill lamp with oil. And then I'll have to light the lamp. Yeah, just light lamp works. It'll use the tinderbox automatically. And yes, and you only need it if it's too dark in the room to see. Otherwise, you can do extinguish lamp. to put it out. Okay, and yes, vitals is something you might want to check. It will show you the current state of your character. It shows how much you're carrying, how you're feeling as far as the weather, and how your health and everything is. And yes, you can also type HP to give you information on your health, how much mana you have, how much fatigue and stamina you have, which are also things you can see if you have this health bar plugin. So yeah, you're feeling very well. That means you're 100% in everything right now. And if you get hurt or as you walk around, your levels will go down. So let's see. Yes, mood is another thing important for combat. So right now I'm in balanced mood, which is just, the basic. But you can go from like frenzy, which is like really aggressive, or you can go to mood defend, which is really defensive. You don't even use attacks. And it depends upon what kind of situation you're in, who you're fighting. So you can get a feel for that. Balanced is good to stay in for now, but yeah, you can get a feel for the different situations where you might want to use a more offensive or defensive move. Okay, and now it brings up Wimpy. So, okay. Wimpy will make it so that once you get below a certain health, you will automatically flee. But there are good things and bad things with that, because you can potentially flee, in a random direction, and you could flee into something that is worse than the thing that you're fighting currently, and that could get you in trouble. So I personally like to keep Wimpy off. So this is suggesting putting Wimpy at 50, which means once you get below 50% health, you will automatically flee. But again, that might not necessarily be a good thing. I mean, it could keep you alive because, you could flee from danger, but you could also accidentally flee into more danger. So yeah, something to keep in mind. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it back off just for me. So, let's see. Okay, and yes, now it's saying, you can look at the help files. If you just type help, it'll show you, so there's different categories you can look into. You can do help fighting, help communication, and you can find different help files through there. There's a lot, it's a lot of information, so you don't have to go over it right now. But if ever you're stuck on something or you're not sure what command to use or something, you can look up help files and hopefully that'll point you in the right direction. And also, there's usually newbie helpers online who, if you use the newbie channel, you can ask questions and people can help you out that way too. So let's see, it's asking help Wimpy. So yeah, just showing it will let you flee from combat, but again, can be dangerous. Okay, yes, so as you can see here, use the basic directions to move, but yes, also if we look here, we can see that to the north there's an R next to the direction. That means it's a road. So if I want to, I can follow the road in that direction and it will take me along the road until I reach a crossroads and have to pick a different direction. So yeah, if I just follow road north, it's helpful if you're going long distances like between cities and things. You can just follow the road to get to the destination you're looking for. So this, let's see, okay. So one thing, this is kind of hard to see because it's dark blue. So let me first look at set color. Set color rooms. Okay, and I want to change, so set color 103 is the living beings in the room, and I'm going to change it to a brighter blue. So now it's a little easier to see if I look. Yeah, so now it's a bit easier to see, and you can mess with all the colors in there. Yeah, set color is how you do it, and just customize that how you want it to be. Okay, so let's see, what am I doing now? All right, if I want to fight this thing, first I'm going to want to wield my weapon. Okay. And yes, before you fight something, you might want to appraise it to see how difficult it is. Again, that will depend upon your appraise skills. But um, yes, and also you should be careful of where and who you're fighting. If you start a fight in a city, you might get the guards mad. When you don't want to attack guards. That's a bad thing. They will definitely kill you and or kick you out of town. So be careful with that. Good things to start on fighting is if you start different quests. Like if I'm an elf, I start in Elvendar, so there's like Thildens that you can fight. There's also animals, but they can sometimes be hard to catch because they run away. So yeah, and if you ask, you can ask for help about things, enemies that you might try fighting, depending upon your skill level. So first, yes, I'm going to appraise this Graxlin. And okay, it says he will bore me if I fight him. So I think I have a pretty good chance. Sometimes, yeah, if your appraise skill is low, it can be not accurate, but yeah, it's showing that I'm stronger than him. I seem to be, you know, able to fight him. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and try fighting him. So you can either start fighting by doing kill thing, or you can start with a special, as it's describing here. So in combat, yes, you will have your basic melee attacks, which if I do kill Graxlin, I will start fighting with my fist and with my sword because those are the weapons that I have with me, and it'll do that automatically. But you will also want to try using special attacks, which are different moves, like I can try elbow, um, and if you do help specials, or if you just look up specials, it will list them all here. So you can see there's fighter specials here, and those are ones that you can learn most all of those. It depends upon what kind of weapon you have. Some of them can only be used with certain weapons, like in Snarl, you have to have a whip, and things like that. And so there's also martial arts specials, and you can use some of them, like punch and kick, anybody can learn, but all the rest of them you have to learn. You have to be a Shaolin in order to learn those skills. So I'm going to stick to, basic ones that I can do, like punch and kick, elbow, knee. I think since I have a sword, I can slam with the hilt of my sword. Okay, yeah, and it also depends upon your delay limit. So right now it's set so that um, you can only do specials within a certain amount of time. Like if you use one, you have to wait a bit before you can use another one. And it automatically sets it so that it's at, a good level, but you can lower, it's at 100, I think is what it starts at. And then if you want, you can lower it, which means that you can use other specials more quickly, but then it also tires you out more quickly. So your stamina will go down, you'll lose your breath, and that's something that's important in combat to keep in mind, your fatigue and stamina, because if you get too tired, it can get to the point where you can't fight anymore. So let's see. Oh yeah, and so you also might want to appraise your foe during combat. See, okay, he's in a very bad shape. That means, hey, I'm doing a good job. And yeah, you can also check your own health. So yeah, as you can see, I'm breathing slightly faster. Like, okay, I'm using up some of my stamina. You can also see with the health bars over there. Yeah, it will take mana and stamina in order to use specials. Like you need some mental concentration to use them, and you need to have enough breath to use them as things. So you can't use too many too quickly. Oh, and as you see, okay, I kicked and I fell down, and so it automatically helps you stand up. But if you want to try and get up quicker, you can try to flick up, which is supposed to be like a quick way to get up, but sometimes you can fail that and fall back to the ground, so sometimes it ends up taking longer. And yeah, as a newbie, with low skills, it's probably going to be harder for you to start out. So, but and also you can't flick up in plate mail. I think I think you can in chainmail, but yeah, it can depend on what kind of armor you have, which will also affect how much weight you're carrying and things like that. So really, yeah, combat is kind of complicated in Geas, but I really like the system. It seems pretty natural and, you know, happening in real time. It's yeah. And it might take a while to get used to it. I know it took me quite a while to get used to it, but yeah, you get a feel for it the more you do it. Okay, so let me I fell down. Let me try to flick up. And oh no, I fell back to the ground again. So now I'm gonna have to try and get up again. Let me see. Ah, I fell down again. So yeah, it might be hard as a newbie being able to flick up, but if you are successful, you will jump to your feet and be ready to fight quickly. So yeah, it can be useful. So let's see. Oh, okay, now I'm ready to fight again. I can try to punch, kick. And yeah, oh yeah, bleeding is also a thing. Once you injure somebody, they start bleeding, and if you yourself get injured and are bleeding a lot, you will probably want to run away. To flee, you could just type here, you could type south, and you would run south. And then you could type aid me to stop your bleeding if you are bleeding. So that's something to keep in mind too. Depending upon what you're fighting, you could get more hurt, or it could be just a little scratch. So let's see. Okay. And I killed him. Yes! Success! I finally killed something. Okay, yeah, so first you can examine corpse. And actually, oh, actually, okay, I can look in corpse. I think, yeah, okay, so let's toggle. Hold on. If I set my toggle to toggle look in on, then I think when I examine the corpse, yes, then I can look in it. So that's something, there's different settings you can toggle and things like that. So yeah, now I can see what's in the corpse instead of having to type look in corpse. So yeah, you can see there's coins in there, so I can get coins from the corpse. And now I have those. Awesome. And so yeah, it looks like this is the end of the newbie tutorial. So now I would type wake and it would bring me to the real world, the real game. Where yeah, and then you can just start interacting with people, and as a newbie, yeah, it's probably a big learning curve, but there are usually people around to help if you have any questions or anything like that. So yeah, if you're interested in giving it a try, I would love to see you in game. So yeah, if you want to give it a shot, then I'll see you there. Bye.